when I'm standing here, I'm representing GEA globally, and that is a very important point in all this presentation I'm going to do, that we are not anymore a local orientated organization. But I will come back to that. I've been asked to make this presentation of our decision process. Before we start, I'm Arne Sternberg. I'm head of automation and control hardware development group. In solution, I will explain you in a bit what that means. That means in solution area, I'm responsible for standardization of documentation, panels, and components, basically, electricals wise. GEA. When we have talked here, browsing around, a lot of you have asked me, what kind of machines are you doing? Name it and we got it, basically. So it's easier to explain what products we are supplying to you and other users. See if you can get this one. We have a huge part where we are doing dairy. That means farming, milking machines, dairy plants, powder milk, whatever. We have food, chicken nuggets, you all know it, instant coffee, a lot of things, all that kind of things we're doing. Beverage, now you're waking up. We are doing, what it called, every second liter of beer in the world is produced by a machine coming from GEA. Pharma, chemical, utilities, marines. This is, it's a octopusy, you can tell. One head, hopefully, only one head, but a lot of arms out to all different kind of industrial areas. Money-wise, globally, what can we say? We are globally orientated. We have almost 17,000 employees in GEA with annual order intake, if you count all this up, for 4.6 billion euros. The most important is we are not GEA Denmark. We are all over. From this perspective of today, the engineering parts, we have mechanical engineering in more than 60 locations, hardware engineering in more than 35, and we are using at least 15 locations are using external support. I'm not sure if it could be more because it is very difficult when it's a global organization. Suddenly, the other day, they was calling in that they was suddenly retracting some hardware design from external going internal, those figures running up and down all the time. From our perspective of hardware engineering, we are using for the moment 12 different CAE systems or CAD systems. Yes, that is my true world. For the time being, we are 160 hardware designers worldwide and 110 Eplan users. And then suddenly we was 124, but that was because we was pulling back 14 licenses from external to internal. But that is the landscape we are operating in. 2 years ago, our big boss, Mr. Oleas, decided to change our organization. Before we was organized in 4 different business units, and all business units have their own sales organization. You can say we call it region and country and regions. Now we are going to be only 2 business units with 1 common sales organization. And that means that we have to coordinate everything all over GEA. Before we was 250 different standards, we have to go now and create 1 common standard for all GEA. This will not be done in 2 years from now. So it's a journey we have started up here. So don't expect when I tell you something about this, that this will happen and you can see it rolling out in 2020. Here in our business areas, we have 2 areas, as we call it, business area solution. When I say we, sometimes that's because I'm located in solution, and Hjors Lendes sitting down there, he's from business area equipment. I try to avoid calling it we and them, but sometimes it happens. Sorry about it. But in solutions, we are doing one-of-a-kind products. We are doing dairy plants, breweries, whatever. And serial production is done in equipment. That means large-scale quantity of sellable items. Sellable items that could be a valve, that could be a centrifuge, that could be a lollipop machine, whatever. Something we can use in solution in our production. So they are producing the equipment I am using in solution, basically. So that is the way we are using this. So they are using the equipment. We are using a lot of P&I diagrams and tag list. That is the biggest difference in the way of we are working, because we can never foresee the design of a plant in solution. Common look and feel. That was the only request we got from Mr. Oleas when we start this journey. That is easy. Okay, common look and feel. Okay, we do that. Then we say, okay, what does that mean for us here in electrical hardware? That means that we have to do similar or standardized panels from solution and equipment side. Our components have to be standardized. For the time being, I counted the other day, we are only using 1,200 different suppliers, electrical-wise. As a short goal, we have to reduce it by 50% within 2 or 3 years. Documentation, of course, we have to also make a common standard for the documentation. And there, EEC is coming in for us as a huge factor here. For the time being, I think we will have 200 different standards without problems. To do this, make this common look and feel, we have to merge 2 cultures. And that is not only 2 cultures, because we also have whatever in equipment have a lot of different local offices around. So it's a lot of cultures. We have to learn a common language, how to do this. And one of the tricks we are fighting for always, because all of you, when you talk about your machines, you will always talk about what is exactly special for your machine. We have to reverse it and talk about our similarities. First, we identify the similarities in our system. Then there will be a small rest, a small part of it which is unique, and that we have to deal with afterwards. But always similarities first, then differences. We, of course, like all of you, have to increase our efficiency. And combined with common look and feel for panels and components, we discussed it a lot in meetings, workshops, whatever, and we make some topics which was very important for us in this. The first one, due to that we are global, all our systems have to be prepared for global distributed. We cannot accept to have a system which is based on a local server somewhere. Everything has to be basically orientated to central servers inside GEA. Common CAE system, that is quite obvious when we have 12 different systems right now. It's very difficult to make one standard within 12 systems. And what took it? 1 year to decide in the negotiation that it was Eplan. It was a long story, but that is another day, another presentation. Automated generation of documents. That is, of course, EEC, whatever kind of platform we are choosing, but that was quite obviously if we should achieve increased engineering efficiency, we have to do that. One global database for all projects, as well as component macros and panel layouts. That was before we even discussed using EEC platform. This is a discussion we have way back 2 years, one and a half years ago. We decided we have to do this. So we was not even decided at that point that it was Eplan. So it is a management goal to do this. because we want to eliminate redundant documentation. You all know it. No more Excel sheets sent by mails, and no more copy-paste. My colleague here on the podium before talked a lot about exactly this issue about finding a project which looked almost the same as this one, and then you forget to make the revision back to the original basic setup. So no more of that. We don't want to do it. Reference designation according to EEC or ISO 81346-1-2. Same that you have also heard. That our perspective is not that we want to do it easier for EEC. We want to do it easier for the maintenance. We're looking at the lifetime balance in the project. And there, if we're doing a function-oriented documentation, it makes much more sense. We don't look at the panel production as such. Change of media. Now we're changing a standard. So we say no more paper. Of course we can print it, but our basic setup is everything has to be prepared for tablet use. Sorry. This means that was the basic setup and decision before we started the evaluation of the EEC. Because in this process, we had two different, in that time we have two different tools we could use from the Eplan, the EEC1. It had been used in the GEA environment for many years. We just call it, in the beginning we call it Schematic generator from Eplan 5. I think some of you know it. We have used that system for 5, 6, 7 years now. Now we call it EEC1. It works fine. We are using it it's in full operation in 4 sites now. So it's a common and well-known way of working. The problem is we have a single user environment. Big disadvantage for us. We cannot run it as a server-based license system. It's impossible in its construction. And due to that it is built up by Excel, there's a lot of macros done in Excel which is unique for the individual hardware designer. We are not able to do a common standard in GEA based on EEC1. So EEC1 was by default rejected from management. It is too dangerous for us to use in our environment. Small companies with one site, EEC1 can work, but not in our case. EEC Pro, as we called it, now it's called EEC, whatever, but in our mind it's still EEC Pro. We have to get used to the new naming. Our evaluation was done what we called multisided workshops. We did 2 workshops, one in equipment and a similar in solution, where we had 8 different sites located. Yes, 8 was represented in those workshops. So it was not only Word was there, it was a lot of different companies was in looking at this evaluation, so we could get all around all questions together. It was extremely important for us that it was the Eplan user which was in this decision phase in the workshops in order to ensure that those who are going to use it will have ownership for day one, because it have a huge impact in their daily work. And if we should make a standard, we need to make sure the standard is done by the users. When we do it as a multi-site workshop, we are sure to make fast identification similarities, because we can discuss it and agree about, okay, this is in fact, I'm in fact starting a DOL motor same way as you were, okay, and my frequency converter, okay, it looked more or less the same as this one. We can identify the similarities and agree about how to deal with them. And then there will be the last 5% differences. Those we have to deal with later on, and we know we have to deal with them, but we have to do it in local solutions. We have to split it. So we had the first workshop in Netherlands, in Word, due to huge problems about engineering resources, they decided they volunteered to make the pilot plant. And we started in this together with Eplan. They was facilitating this process for us. They were still asking us all the silly questions, which we was not able to ask for ourselves. So it was looking into our organization from outside. So there was scope definition, current situation, workflow, and prototype project. That was the agenda in this one. First one, scope definition, or you can call it brainstorming, because what we was doing was we was asking them, what is your expectation to a system which can generate your documentation automatically? Wishing to do it faster. Okay, fine, we can solve that. We have to improve quality and reduce errors. We have to secure production of max 8 days. That is a huge problem, mostly in equipment, that lead time in production is, as all of you, being reduced. And for the moment, they have only 8 days to do the electrical documentation ready for production. So one simple mistake in the system can then we can have big problems in the system. So that is a target which we have to make sure we can do all the time. Configure schematic software production, products documentation to sellable items. Yes, we can do that. Then there's a problem to solve. There is no intelligence in the sales configurator. There's a lot of problems up front because the sales configurator is not intelligent, and it needs a lot of technical knowledge. We need to solve a problem about technical transfer from sales to engineering. All this data have to be handpicked, which for automatic process, yes. And then we have to be 100% configurable for all options, and it have to be worldwide. Then we had a fun couple of hours, because we begin to make this cartoon, where we tried to describe the current workflow in Word. Up here we have the customer sales, the sales giving his information to the SAP system, and together with the technical order manager, they agree about this, and he release it and give it to the LISA system, which is a product PLM system, more or less. From the PLM system of the LISA, we begin to make some different Excel sheets to the pneumatics, the electrical drawings. You can hear it on your own. It's quite a complicated run we are doing here. And every time we're doing a new transfer to a new system, risk factors. So we was in, what is going to be improved here? Several tools and systems is involved in the engineering process. Standardization of sellable items, schematics, is only partly realized. Partly because we have some standard systems here. We have some standards here. The problem is right here in the electrical part. It's based on a master project. We're picking up from the system, and then we are deleting unused options in the system. So that's why it's partly realized. We still have a lot of manual interface and settings in the system which cause delays and errors. For instance, up here, they have to sit and make a lot of manual interface to the system and interpretation of the sales. Here, there's manual, whatever. Risk of the 8 days planned delivery time. We have experience with the existing system, and for a long time, we saw it as a CTO, configure to order process, but there's motivation for higher improvement of this system, and by this we accepted that it is not capable of doing this. We have the current process in our cartoon version, then we did this one. It is just to make it more simple to read. It is the same with the LISA, technical LISA, Eplan, exactly the same system. Then we begin to identify time wasters and critical point for errors. In the pre-engineering to engineering phase, it's the same, just zoomed in. There was, up here, we have errors and wasted time due to that we have to go into the LISA and make settings in the system. We discussed a lot that there's a potential saving of making the PLC parametration or the PLC program directly from the automatic generated system. As per now, we are pulling out electrical drawing set and then taking out documents we are not using because those options is not valid for this machine. This is error and wasted time. We are copying from LISA to configure a file in Excel and then on. Still, it's also waste of time. And up here, we have a problem because the sales is not fully capable of doing this configuration in the system. And that means that here we have a problem about knowledge. Not sure we can solve it in this forum, but we got a problem. We have just identified this problem. And then again, bottleneck, the technical order manager have to approve all things coming to LISA. It's acceptable, but it is still a bottleneck, and we are losing time on that one. From engineering to production, then again, we again reducing the documentation for some pages. We are still risking our 8 days delivery time. And down here, when we have the PLC program, we have to download it into the PLC and make a manual configuration of the system and check it before release to the customer. We can see perhaps that we can do this better. Oh. No, that was right, the right way. Okay. I got there. Then it was lunchtime, something like that, or end of the day. And then we started the workshop or the training, in fact, from Eplan side about what is EEC, what can we expect from this tool. At that time, we have not talked about EEC at all yet. Then we can make this, was it a half-day training, so on, very brief what we are going to do. And then we did the draft of the future flow with the knowledge of what EEC can do for us. And there we can see we can eliminate the manual choices, whatever. Extremely important. Right now we have templates we can use. We have identified, due to that, we call it semi-automated generation already. We have already some templates we can use. So we don't need to start the process by developing new templates. That means we can make a quick bug fix for Jos in his operation because he has a huge problem right now. And if we do that, we can also get familiar with the EEC platform basically from designer's point of view from beginning, instead of making a development, and we can run it faster, get knowledge from hands-on operation. Of course, we want to configure based on data directly from LISA. And we have the potential we have talked about, PLC programs from or parameter files. And we also expect to be able to generate arrangement drawings in ProPanel directly from EEC. That is a wish. Let's see if we can do it. I don't know. This is a simple draft of what we have seen now. That is the schematic seen from automatic point of view. That we have this, and when we have the ELISA giving data to EEC, we have the P8 fluid ProPanel documenting, whatever. That is clear. You have also seen it several times today. The same, suddenly, if you look at it, we have reduced a lot of manual interfaces here. We only have technical order in here. We have one which for the moment is transferring data from LISA to EEC. We have reduced a lot of error factors, manual intervene in the system. Next job, and that is not even in the pilot test yet, it is a job server. Because this one suddenly create a complete new system situation for us. Because right now, then, it means that we have no one to assist. I talked about we were not quite happy with what they're doing out here. Now, when basically now it's a technical order manager which executing the documentation. And if we have no one here to intervene, we're not sure it will work that good. Then shit in, shit out, basically. So that is something we have discussed a lot, that our electrical engineers suddenly is being moved up and they are not a part of the process itself. They will do templates, they will do macros, they will do optimization of the data up front, but they will not be a part of the production itself. That is a shift of way of working, and we have to make sure that we have the commitment and the ownership from the engineers before we start this process. So there's a lot of discussion, and we have to make sure that they are ready when they are ready when we begin to use this technology. When we look at it, what we can do with from our perspective in the EEC system in equipment, we can realize the configuration based on existing schematics. We can use that is extremely important right now. We can do it simple. This is accepted, and we have the ownership from the engineers in the system. And we can see, due to that, we did it as a multi-site workshop. The other sites which was involved could see that the similarities was perfect. There was some comment about special requirements, but they seems to be able to be fulfilled. So there was sign for the project from in engineering as well at that time. So it seems we can realize this one. So we did the pilot project. Joes can tell a lot about that over a beer tonight, if you want. But basically, we did it a better simple system. That was important. No fancy stuff. We was doing it based on the templates we got. We was making a project. Eplan hoped to sell us 15 days of service, and we used 3 or something like that. 5 then. Never mind. But it was under our estimated use of support hours or support days. And we have only a handful of days, yes. And we did it simple and had been running since August. We have a very simple system. It worked. That is the point of it. When we finished, almost same time, but a little later, we did the same workshop in solution side, where we are doing the one-of-a-kind projects with P&ID and tag list and so on. Do it a little fast because basically, when they had done a 4 hours discussion about how EEC worked, we ended up in this block diagram. We just call it PLM system, we call it electrical, we call it process areas, other words, but basically it's exactly the same. The only difference is that we are now talking about operating in P&ID and tag list. When we in solution are talking about CTOs, it's we have a little problem. So we defined it. Some systems, standard systems, we can make configure to order. That's fine. We can see for a tank, feed tank system, which is more or less like a sellable, okay, we can make it configure to order with options. There we have defined, we can see here we have, in our way of working, we always convert everything to tag list. And here we have different options we can select. We have a selection here. We can produce by that. We can see, yes, it works. Also due to that it already have been proven in the equipment side. When we do it by P&I diagrams or tag list, it is always already a proven concept in GEA. We are using EEC1. So for the time being, we know it can happen. We just have to convert our proven system into the new EEC or EEC Pro system. The only difference here is that different from equipment, we're talking about we have a type pointer. So we can see we have a P&I diagram here where, come on, we have the feed supply pump here, coming in here, and here, this one gives us the selection of a template. This is already operating in a system, it works, we have the templates. From here we can go up by selectors and operate and select different components fit to the current size. So we need a lot fewer number of templates if we can do this selection dynamic. In our discussions in solutions, we realized quite quickly that it was not only our electrical documentation we want to focus on, but also automation. It is natural for us to say we can produce our hardware, the basic level programs or level 1 programs, and simple list for the control systems, and something which is a big problem for us, that is to generate the function design specifications for the customers. They seem like that we are able to generate the same because a lot of it is in fact copy pasting. And why should we then not use EEC for those purposes? Another one coming in the discussion, that was sales. We know it is not a sales configurator, but for the time being, our sales configurator is using their own databases of components. And that means they always have a difference from real prices because they are not being synchronized with the real prices in the system all the time. And if we change the setup in engineering, suddenly we have a difference in the sales configurator. So if we can come in and give a connection to our component database and getting out again and prepare the data for the sales configurator, then we have real-time prices in our configurator. That could be a huge advantage for us as well. So it is a multi-functional system we are preparing here. So our strategies for the next points in our goals here is that we are going to we want to see that the EEC configuration can be configured in EEC Pro or EEC. We are going to develop new common standard templates. We know that the existing systems are they are useful, but they are not perfect. And just like before, we can also see we can add in much more data into the system. When we have common standards, we can use much more time for the individual templates. So we can give much more information to the panel builders and to the industrial whatever. And we want to make sure or investigate if we can make our arrangement drawing directly from EEC, especially in solutions. A lot of our panels is 25 of those type of motor starters, and then we have huge numbers, but basically it's the same. So if we can make a rule in the arrangement drawing, it should be able more or less to make the arrangement drawings by automatic, by rules. Mechatronics. As I told you, we expect, our plan is to convert from paper to tablet, and that means we are going to, we expect to be ready to provide the maintenance with dynamic information in mechatronics, whatever we call it. We can see a huge benefit, and we can then also call it 4.0 ready, the systems. If whatever. Conclusion from GEA side at this stage, from equipment, it's realizable, it's proven by our pilot project in Vert. From solution side, we just have to, but we have to convert our EEC1 strategy to EEC, and then we can operate on the existing template as a beginning. Then again, if we go back to the management requirement to the system, yes, we can eliminate redundant data or documents because we can generate document directly from the PLM system. We can avoid copy pasting and reuse of old projects. We can increase the quality of documentation, and we can increase our engineering efficiency. And I'm quite sure in a minute somebody asked me if I got a figure. I'm in the same problem as all of you. No, but it seems like in our calculations, it seems like something, first go is 15 to 20%. We are ready to promise the management of increase of efficiency. But it's conservative, and there's a lot of unknown factors still, but it seems like we are going in that range in our promise to the management in our calculations right now. Please note, I talked about that we have this point of entrance which we was a little bit concerned about, or data quality, inlet data quality. This have to be extremely much in focus from everybody in the loop. Then suddenly there's nobody, because whatever we call it, in the good old times, then there was an electrical engineer sitting and evaluating the data he was getting and say, it could not be this fan could not have a 2.2 megawatt motor. We will never realize it now, because if it's proven by a technical manager, we will go out with a 2.5 megawatt frequency converter in the other end of the system. It's not it can be realizable in GEA. We have fans which is 1 megawatt. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we will never, our system will never recognize that it was not 1 kilowatt but 1 megawatt. Exactly. There's no bug fixing in the system, and that we have to realize that is good, that is bad, but we have to deal with it. That is a new way of working. So our electrical engineers, they will have complete new tasks in the projects. We have to give them new competences, and they have to understand that they have a new role. They have to have commitment to the templates and to the data quality up front, and then they have to let go of the project. That is a completely new way of working. I'm not sure yet how it will go, because that is what everybody's talking about. Okay, the technical part of it, okay, but the psychological part of it will be our biggest challenge here. Ownership, commitment must be in our focus all the time. Thank you very much.